Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jesse, the Couch Movie Critic, and once again we are back in the kitchen today doing an off-screen review of the PeohZarr, aka Kaneye model F9 true wireless earbuds. I did an unboxing not too long ago. The manufacturer reached out to me. They asked me to test them. It has been a little bit over 2 weeks now since I've had them, and I've been testing them, and wanted to share the review with you guys. I want to go over some pros and cons, give you my final word on what I think of them, and if it's worth the investment. I will tell you that the last time I checked, they're currently sitting at $34.99 on Amazon, and they have a 6% off coupon, if I believe if you're a Prime member. So that might be something of a factor for you guys too, so keep that in mind. Let's get down to the nitty-gritties. Let's talk about the pros and the cons, and then what my final word is on what I think of them. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the pros. So some of the other true wireless earbuds, these cases are bulky, cumbersome, heavy. This one is actually a lot smaller than most of them, so that's one of the things that I love right off the bat. You can see, probably can see on the camera that it's got some scuffing. I did have an incident where Bella the Couch Movie Kid accidentally smacked it out of my hand as we were getting something out of the trunk, and it went for a tumble. But funny enough, this thing stayed working, hasn't affected charging, hasn't affected the earbuds. It's just a great thing. Let's talk about some of the other pros to this, buddy. Unlike some of the other ones that are magnetic that could still pop open, this actually has a latch that keeps it closed, so I dig that a lot. Let's talk about one of the most important things when it comes to a set of wireless earbuds: call quality and even music quality. So let's start with call quality. Some of you guys know that I've done in the past the T10 review for a set of wireless earbuds called the T10s. And one of the things I complained about is that if you had both earbuds in and you received a call, it would cut in and out. This does not happen with these guys. The call quality, nobody complains about background noise. Nobody's complained about that they can't hear me. Nobody's asked me to take them out. It's been as if I was just wearing a standard Bluetooth, which I think is fantastic, or a set of wired headsets. That goes miles for me, because one of the biggest complaints with some of the brands of wireless Bluetooth headsets is that you got to take one out and shut it off so you could take a call comfortably. With this, you don't have to do that. The call quality is crisp. The one thing about call quality that I will say, that the volume, it does have volume control that you control over your phone, and then the individual earbuds control volume as well. It's got a really good audio level, but as I've mentioned in the past, my hearing sometimes, just from years of bass and loud music, I need stuff to be loud. It is not over the top loud when it comes to call quality, but it is good enough to be able to take a call in a crowded space. I just wouldn't recommend doing it at a concert or a ball game. You're not going to hear anything there. But otherwise, call quality is fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about music playing and sound. I gotta tell you, again, I have a pair of wireless Beats, the Power Beats 2. I have the T10s as well that I actually went out and bought myself, and then I have these, the PeohZarr Kaneye Model F9s, and I gotta tell you, man, musically speaking, these things are fantastic. It is I'll put it up there neck and neck with my Beats without a problem, and I will tell you that it's probably better sounding in certain instances, or a lot of instances, than the T10s. Audio quality is fantastic. It doesn't sound tinny. It doesn't sound mechanical in any way. It doesn't affect the audio quality. Bass is good. It is not hurting your eardrums or anything along those lines. And this is one of those cases, because of the volume control having a set limit, it gets just loud enough to be really, really enjoyable, but not so loud that it hurts your hearing if you go too far up in the volume. So it's, one of those things that if you're an audiophile and you want this for good audio quality and play, especially if you're working out with this or things along those lines, it's fantastic for that. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the features. So some of the features, and again, we're doing the pros right now because I'm going to hit some of the cons and the features as well. So one of the big features I love about this thing is that it is touch sensitive. You don't have to, as I mentioned before with the T10s, ram it into your ear when you're holding on to it to answer a call, end a call, or anything along those lines. All you do is touch it, and that's it, and keep it moving, which I think is fantastic as well. It really, really makes a difference. Another really cool thing about this, because of the fact it's touch sensitive, it's allowed them to add features that a lot of other Bluetooth headsets don't have. So simple things. Obviously, it has the ability to pause and play music. Weird thing about that, though, is it has the ability to pause and play music on your MP3 players, your Pandoras, and Netflix as well. But weirdly enough, it doesn't do it for YouTube. So I'm not sure where the issue is there. I don't know if it's the app itself or the programming, but it does allow for something like that, which is fantastic. Another great feature that I like about it is fast forward and rewind. If I remember right, if you tap twice on the left ear, it rewinds. If you tap twice on the right ear, it fast forwards. It's a little tricky to get it to, like, say if you're listening to music tracks stored on your phone or something along those lines, where you listen to a playlist of songs and you want to rewind. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to get it to jump back, but it's a great added feature that a lot of these wireless headsets don't have. Most of them, you have to do it from the phone. This one you don't, which is great. Lets you answer calls, ignore calls, put calls on holds, all of the above. So fantastic there. Let's talk about comfort, another super important topic when it comes to a set of wireless Bluetooth earbuds. I got to tell you, I mentioned with some of the other ones in the past that I had to go through all the different earbuds to figure out what was the most comfortable, and even wound up having to wear, in some cases, larger than normal earbuds. The actual, when I say the earbud, I'm talking about, just to show you, this little piece right here, the little earpiece that goes onto it. In a lot of cases, I've had to play with it. With this one, I don't. It's just the very first pair that came out fit me comfortably. They held it in place, minimal droppage. Don't get me wrong, just like any other earbuds, you shake your head too much left or right, they can fall out. But it just fit. It was comfortable. It's comfortable for long hours of play. It's comfortable for show watching, things along those lines. It's fantastic. It does have, as you can see, the LED lighting on there, dictating, charging, things along those lines. The charging case even has an LED light right above the port that flashes numerically depending what the power level is. So 4 times for 75 to 100%, 3 to from 50 to 75, and 2 and going downward from there, which I think is very cool. So that pretty much covers the bulk of the pros. I mean, it's really, really, really good in all of those aspects. I have no complaints at all when it comes to the pros that I've just talked about. So let's talk about the cons, and we're going to start again with the case. So the case isn't bad, but all right, so you guys, if you watch the channel, you know I'm a bit OCD. I don't like fingerprints on things. I don't like things that smudge, and god damn it, this case does that every freaking time you touch it. Any little bit of oil or grease on your hands, which we're human beings are going to have all the time, does stick to the matte finish of it. And it's not just on the exterior, it does it on the interior. And this was cleaned with a Clorox wipe. And if you look close on it, you can see it. You can see the smudge in there. I know it's minor. I know it doesn't affect the quality of the audio. It's just a pet peeve, and it annoys the living shit out of me. But it is one of those things where if you have one of those ticks like that, where smudges and grease on shiny things bothers you, and you have to be constantly cleaning, be prepared. You will be going through that. Let's talk about the fact that it also is the same thing for the touch buttons, as well as the actual physical body of the earbuds. So again, that's not a big deal. That shouldn't be a deal breaker. It isn't for me. It just irritates me. So let's talk about another couple weird things. So as I mentioned earlier, the case is not magnetic. It's just got a push button, which is fantastic. Except for sometimes, it sticks. And it's not a lot of times, but sometimes when you're trying to do something one-handed to get it out, get it open real quick so you could pull out an earbud, it could be a pain in the butt. The other thing is that since the hinge is not very solid, it is kind of floppy, and this top feels kind of thin. It has protected it, as you see in the drop, but sometimes it'll close on you when you're trying to do something one-handed, so that can be kind of a nuisance, but still not a deal breaker. Now here's one of the weirder things that I've seen. I'm going to put it here on top of the box, get a little closer to the camera. So this finger here is the right finger. This is the left finger. I'm looking at it the same way you guys are looking at it. One of the weird things about this is that the right earbud is actually on the left side of the case. I don't know if you can see it here. It's got a little R there. It's actually on the left side of the case, and the same for the left earbud. It's on the opposing side. So the really odd thing about that is that you wind up accidentally sticking in the wrong earbud in your ear for the first day or two, depending how great your memory is. It may take a little longer. In my case, it was a day or two where I had to remember, go to the left to put it in my right ear, go to the left to put it in my or go to the right to put it in my left ear. I mean, even now talking about it, it's confusing me. That could be me just being simple-minded, but again, if it is a right earbud, my thought process is it should be on the right side. If it's a left earbud, it should be on the left, but for some reason, the manufacturer chose to do it the inverse. I don't know if that's a cultural thing or just a decision that was made, but that's how it worked out. It also could be about making space in the case, and I want to say that's probably the biggest thing from an engineering standpoint, because if it was the inverse, they'd be closer together. You wouldn't have a lot of grip space, which means you would have had to make the case a little larger to allow to have them pulled in and out. In this case, they're inverted, but they're a little bit more ergonomic in design and case quality. Now, let's talk about some of the cons. The one con that I mentioned earlier was on the phone calls, that the audio volume sometimes is not super high. So if you're in really loud gyms, you're in really loud concert halls, really loud workspaces, it could be an issue for you. I got to be honest, part of it could be just my own hearing. But I think, in my opinion, and even my wife tested a little, it is one of those things where it's just loud enough for a really comfortable phone call in a really relaxed situation, and even, walking to work or something along those lines, but definitely not something in a really crowded space where there's a lot of voices going on. One of the things I did forget to mention in the pros, which I'm going to bring up right now, is battery life, and I'm going to give you, and the reason I'm bringing it up right now isn't because it's a con at all, it's because I forgot it in the pros, but the biggest thing is battery life is amazing. With the charging case and the earbuds, it keeps it going forever. But I did have an instance where I accidentally left the case with the left earbud in the house when I left, and I had the right earbud in my ear. But I will tell you, this bad boy went 13 hours without skipping a beat. I went through my full day, listening to music, work, calls, the whole gambit, from 8 to 8 p.m. when I got home, and it actually died as I was finally putting it back in the case, which I think is magnificent. I mean, that's an amazing lifetime just in these tiny little earbuds. So there are no cons there. That's 100% pro. Really, absolutely love that. Another con situation that rises here is, and this is maybe just me a little bit, the instructions and the breakdown. When you want to just use one earbud, it can be very, very tricky. They want you to use the left earbud because I'm right-handed. The right earbud is more comfortable. So if you are the type of person you have to listen to a manufacturer's set of instructions, and you're right-handed and you don't like having the left earbud being the one that's in, be prepared, that could be a potential con. But reality is it is not, because if you go ahead and independently pull up the right Bluetooth without the left one, it'll actually go into pairing mode, and you can actually pair it in your phone to the right earpiece and just name it F9R, which is what I did in F9L for the left side. So I spent the better part of my time actually using the right earpiece instead of the left earpiece, which they claim is the master. Manufacturer might hate me for bringing this up, but it is just a cool little trick that I found to help with one item that was a con for me, which was the configuration of the left being the master. Either one can be the master, either one can pair together and have it take over so you can listen to duals. So it really, really came in handy. Other than that, guys, I got to tell you that there's nothing else that I could genuinely say bad about these Bluetooths. For a set that a manufacturer reached out to me, sent me for free, and said, hey, can you test these out for us and let us know what you think? I got to tell you, I'm really, really impressed. I still have my Beats, which I wear in the gym. I still have my T10s as well. I still have my wired Wolf as well. So it's one of those things that I have a lot of choices, and I gotta tell you, these have become my new daily Bluetooth set. I still use the Beats in the gym, not because of anything other than I'm worried about dropping a plate or something on top of the earbud and destroying it. And it's a really, really nice earbud. With the Beats, they've got the hooks and the straps, so it kind of makes it easier to not worry about that. But I will tell you that it really is a great set. I got rained on. I dropped them in water by accident. I kind of tested these a little more ruggedly when it came to that water aspect, being IPX7. They're still working and they're still kicking. So I got to tell you, I think they're fantastic. At the end of the day, do I think it is worth you investing in them? Listen, if you don't want to spend a ton of money on a Bluetooth headset or a pair of earbuds, and you don't want something cheap either, I think you can't go bad by buying the PeohZarr F9s. I think they're a fantastic product. I think they're a great price at $34.99 and $39.99. I've seen them on Amazon. It's fluctuated over the last couple weeks. Having the 6% off that was happening as of today was a fantastic little benefit. And then the size of them. I mean, the cons are minimal. I spent a lot more time on the pros on this side, and I will tell you, I probably wouldn't recommend going swimming with these bad boys because even though they look fantastic, they hold fantastic, they got a much smaller profile than most of the earbuds, I would still be worried about current pulling them out and the fact that they're only good for a certain depth and certain time. I think it's like a half hour at 3 meters, which is, like, or at a meter, I'm sorry. Half hour at a meter is roughly 3 feet deep water. You don't want to go swimming with them, but you should feel comfortable to be able to go ahead and get them wet in the rain, get them wet if you're washing your hands and you grab them, something along those lines, and not worry about anything. Definitely would recommend them. If you're looking for a pair, you can't go wrong with these right here. So I would definitely recommend them to anybody who asks me. That's pretty much everything, guys. As always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions and concerns, please feel free to reach out to me, as always, and thanks for watching.